over それでも踊りたかった眠れないくらい情熱の日はいつしかいつの日にか鼻から気づいているホムラはいつか消えるで何もいらないはずだったなのにまだ I'm so serious Baby それがりそんなに甘くないよでもきっとそんなに悪くないよ I give me right しちゃうぜ yeah
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this. You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't. But I've considered it.
Alright. So hear me out, right? Not every build I make is for fast kill or just for, damage. The whole purpose behind making some of the builds I make and focusing on the damage is because it's a reference point for you guys to go and innovate the build in a way that fits high difficulty content or just specifically your own playstyle. The only reason I'm even going on this tangent is because of a conversation that happened recently. Yeah, honestly, this build is not a damage focused build. Neither was the last build that I posted on my YouTube channel. And the main reason why I kind of focus on the, high damage builds is because those are the better reference points for someone that wants to invest in high difficulty content to, start with when they're making their build, and they can change things out based on their own survivability needs, or, you know, vice versa. So, you know, you don't have to follow the builds down to a T. The way that I do the builds is specifically for reference points. And I also just like to showcase how high the damage can go for a class, because the best way to really compare a class is on their maximum damage and their survivability, which are two things that you compare separately. And I will be getting to the survivability part in the build process, build making process relatively soon. But I'm not made a spinner. I can't just go and make 2 versions of every build. And please stop asking me to test damage at other bosses. Why would I test damage at a high difficulty boss? You cannot get the best possible damage scenario at a high difficulty boss. There's way too many variables at those bosses. The reason why I test damage at easy bosses is because they are easy to test damage at. That is the simplest thing to answer. You know, that's what you guys, you know, that's your answer. I literally got verbally bukakied because 2 people kept telling me, do solos in your build videos. That's a skill check. That's not a damage check. If you want to see my skill at the game, I have solo videos on my channel. But those don't get views, and honestly, I'm not that interested in soloing anymore. So, womp womp, I guess. But let's get right into the video. Okay, so that was a long tangent, but let's get into this build video. For our stats, we are going to be using intelligence and dexterity. The intelligence is obviously going to be giving us DTE, which scales at every 10 intelligence points is 1% DTE, as long as you have an element on your weapon. So, you know, as you can see, we have 51% DTE for free with our weapon equipped, as long as we have an element. And dexterity is going to be giving us cast speed, as well as a little bit of magic attack, but it's mostly for the cast speed, because alternatively we could go with crit and just simply landing a critical hit. You know, we would actually be doing more damage, but not substantially more. Our DPS is actually a little bit more with a cast speed focus build. So yeah, I honestly prefer a cast speed build. You lose the fast kill viability, but you gain the high difficulty content viability, which is what we're aiming for here. For our food buffs, we're going to be going with the ones on screen. The only one that I would say is interchangeable is the attack MP recovery. I would say change that out for weapon attack. I use attack MP recovery personally because I'm using this build in high difficulty content. And in case you didn't know, with auto device, attack MP recovery actually does give you a lot more actual attack MP recovery when you're using that skill. So you won't have to be using your enchanted barrier as much, and you'll actually be able to squeeze in a lot more attacks like that. And for registlets, this is what we are rocking. Now, you can change the magic arrows enhancer out for the magic attack boost, honestly, but I think it's very, very close. I think magic arrows enhancer is better because with the magic tuning, you can get the critical hit, and those 4 extra hits are going to be, you know, a lot of extra damage. So, but it's very, very close in the mercenary run times. So I would say just pick your poison, I guess. Starting things off in shot skills, we're only taking long range. Let's move on to the magic skills because there's a lot here. So, magic arrows at level 10, that's a no-brainer. We're taking chrono shift at level 10. This lets you basically double up on the skill that you want to use. Insert the funny goofy clip here. We're taking magic laser at level 10. This is for the damage, because every time we use magic cannon, we will be using it at max MP. And in case you didn't know, this skill gains extra multiplier based on the amount of MP remaining after you've already clicked on the skill. It doesn't register until it lands on the boss, but it does the calculation when you click on the skill, which is very neat. So, and then you also get 10% magic pierce with this skill. Very, very nice stuff. And then we're taking magic burst level 10. We're a cast speed build, so this is our main DPS in long content. However, if it's like a boss like Black Lixie or Squarinja, then you're probably going to be using magic crash a lot more. So that's why we're taking Magic Crash at level 10. Plus it also gives us Dizzy, which prevents the boss from guarding everything. Magic Cannon, come on guys. This is the funny mage skill right here. Come on. Spell calibration. This basically allows us to calibrate our spells. So let me actually go and show you the calibrations that I have. So we are taking critical and double shot for magic arrows, normalize and retry for javelin, and we are taking reinforce for magic impact. And those are the only things that you want to worry about for spell calibration. And then of course we are taking chain cast level 10 so that we can get the magic attack and stability boost. And then we're taking power, and this also boosts your cast speed for magic skills only. So only magic skills. And then power wave is so that we can attack at a longer range. And then you can also take the power wave modifier registlet and get a boosted damage on auto device, in case you didn't know. So for bosses like Pillow Kitagawa, you're actually going to want power wave at level 10, and then you take the registlet with it, and you will have very, very strong auto attacks without even having any agility. So it's very, very cool stuff. And then maximizer, we will be using enchanted barrier maximizer to regen our MP. So that's why MP charge is only level 5, and that's also why we don't have rapid charge. The magic attack and magic pierce boosts on this skill is pretty much a dead on arrival thing, so no one really takes or cares about that anymore. Moving on, we will be taking the two-handed skill so that we can gain some stability as well as some weapon attack. And then we are taking Shukuchi, again, basic stuff for a build. And then in our sprite skills, we took enhance here. We're mostly not going to be using this, so you can save 10 skill points, I guess. But counterforce is a very, very powerful skill. I would say this is the best skill for magic device, period. If you're skipping this skill, I just don't know what to tell you. Every content where you have a tank, this skill is a must. Every content where you're soloing, if it's not an untouched solo, this skill is a must. Astral Lance, again, I would say it's the second best skill for magic device, because these two skills allow you to pretty much just spam enchanted barrier, and you still have like higher DPS than most of the game in high difficulty content. So that's how good these two skills are on their own. And for auto device, you really only need it at level 1 for it to be effective. Raising the level only increases the damage of it, and we don't care about the damage of it in this build. However, I will be making a build in the future for bosses like Pillow Kitagawa, where you do care about the damage of auto device. So just keep in mind the damage of that skill is very, very good, but it's not the main focus for this build. In our wizard skills, we're going to be taking cast mastery, and we're going to be taking pretty much everything here at level 10. Advanced Familia, Kitty's Treasure, Mana Crystal, Familia, and all of these little skills right here are a must at level 10, because with Advanced Familia, the cat will be automatically casting all of these skills. And then with Kitty's Treasure, now the cat can also automatically cast Mana Crystal. So now you are pretty much just getting free bonus damage for existing. So combine this with counterforce and auto device, and you pretty much just have Iruna Online style DPS, where you can just go AFK and still get attacker in some bosses. That's how insane this stuff gets. With Meteor Strike, there is a registlet that makes the distance that it can possibly hit from the boss a much tighter range, but honestly I prefer it without the registlet, because you get more hits without the registlet, and it's actually a higher chance of landing a single hit without the registlet than it is with the registlet. So, you know, pick your poison with that, I guess. Over limit, you get free DTE with this, 10%, and then sorcery guide, you get another 10% DTE, and then shift, you basically just get Ashura Aura for magic device, except, you know, it's just an always up iframe once you click on it, and it just, you know, just read the skill description. It's pretty broken. It's very good. So, you know, magic device is quite literally just a auto DPS class. So yeah, that's the magic of magic device. Moving on to our next skill tree is our ninja skills, and we're just taking Ninja Spirit at level 10 so that we can get the two-handed skill buff. And for our last skill tree, we're going to be taking battle skills. Take Concentrate at level 10. This really matters for this build. Like, for this build specifically, if there's any build where you care about that 15% chance of landing Concentrate or Whack, it's this one. This one and Bow, I would say, because you're going to be landing these a lot. and then increase energy at level 10 for a little bit of extra magic attack. Because this isn't a critical build, we're not taking spell burst. However, you can take it just for a little bit of additional damage whenever, you know, a party member lands weaken or something, but it's literally insurmountable, so don't worry about it, honestly. This build requires all 403 skill points. Literally every single one is put to good use. Now, if you have star gems, then you can save a lot of skill points. So, you know, this is very, very subjective to how you want to do this build. And for the equipment that we will be using in this build, first and foremost, for our magic device, you are going to want stats like these, your standard DTE. If you can fit cast speed on there, get about 20 or 21%. That is perfectly fine, but it is not a requirement, as you can see here. For the scroll, you are going to want this scroll. Let me actually go back to the magic device because I didn't really explain the crystals, but pretty much you're going to be using Diarc, you know, basic crystal for a magic build. It gives you the 20% magic pierce as well as the 8% magic attack. The minus cast speed's a little bit annoying, but it's not a big deal because you make up for it with Wicked Dragon Vazino, which gives you magic attack 9%, dexterity 7%, and cast speed 5%. And because we are at Dex Mage, that is a huge boon. For the armor, we will be rocking stats like these. If you can get the cast speed to 20%, go ahead, but just note that these are a gamble stat, so good luck and have fun with that. For the crystals, we will be using Bang Drum, which will be giving us 5% magic pierce as well as some magic attack and some cast speed, and then Gegner will also be giving us magic attack and cast speed. And as for our additional gear, we will be using the Dookie Wings. The Dookie Wings are going to be giving us the long range damage, the dexterity, a little bit of accuracy for auto device, as well as 25% magic pierce. Very, very big gains right here. So we're already at almost the amount, like the maximum amount of magic pierce that we need. And then for our ring, we will be using the Full Blossom Charmstone with Scream Shadow. Scream Shadow will be giving us some extra cast speed and some extra maximum MP. And then for avatars, you want to focus on magic pierce or attack MP recovery. Both are really, really good. If you favor the long runs and you're using auto device more, then please, by all means, go for attack MP recovery. I usually don't show consumables in, you know, the build, but you know, this is a cast speed build, so you know, for the consumables, we are just using Terra Speed Pots, Spell Headphones, Barrier Analyzer, Lithograph. Those are the only 3 required ones for this build if you want to maximize the damage. However, you really don't need the Barrier Analyzer, Lithograph. You can get that extra 10% magic pierce in another way by just changing out the Vazino for Vatudo. And then the optional consumables will be the Dragon Steak, which will be giving us a little bit more attack speed, as well as the Nogo Shrimp, which will be giving us some more cast speed. And then we have Matsteak Soup, which is giving us 10% weapon attack and 10 attack MP recovery, which is very nice. And then we have the Snow Wine, which is restoring 10% of our max MP every 10 seconds for 15 minutes. So you'll be getting 200 MP every 10 seconds. Very, very good stuff. And then Barmbrack, again, more cast speed, but you can use element dependent consumables. The bosses that I'm fighting in this video are Earth and Dark, so you know, it's Barmbrack and Zombie Cake. Those are the main ones that you want to be using. Now, there is no spreadsheet in this video. I actually kind of winged it for this build because it's pretty straightforward with the building process. The actual complicated thing is actually just literally the gameplay. And I wouldn't say it's too complicated, but that'll pretty much wrap up this video. If you guys like the build, if you enjoy the edits, if you enjoy the gameplay, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe and let me know what your favorite part about this build is, or any criticisms that you may have about the build in the comments below. Without any further ado, you guys have a good one and be blessed.